Let's go. All right. And let me double check that it's good on YouTube. YouTube end is good. All right. And we are set to go. 3 seconds. Hey, let's go. We're in the What's up, guys? Welcome to the Joyage Kingdom. Apologies for the technical difficulties. We have arguably maybe the most hyped up NFT podcast. I'm super excited to do this. We have Betty from the DeadFellaz, creator, artist, project founder, epic, just inspiration, honestly, in the space. She's a mother. She's got 57 balls in her hand and she's juggling them all at the same time. So thank you so much for coming on, Betty.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be here. Hello,
Yeah.
hello.
What's up, y'all? I see Riv in the house, George in the house, everybody's in the house. What's up, Bryce? Guys, make sure you click that like button, subscribe to the channel, join the kingdom. It's Cage Your Guide. We will be replacing the little voices inside your head for now, giving you a break from the constant internal monologue that is the human mind. I want to say thank you first for listening and viewing on whatever platform you're on. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, join the kingdom, follow us on Twitter. But anyways, Betty, I'm so stoked to talk to you. You've been a creative working in the corporate world for that's just like where your background was. I heard you talking about it on other podcasts. And then your entry into NFTs, you said your husband had kind of been introduced to it. Some of his creative friends had kind of talked him into it, I guess. And then you heard about it and you were like, let's do this shit. Let's do our own project. Was that the first intro to NFTs, or had you been buying up, snagging up art pieces and snagging one of ones?
I didn't have any NFT money prior to releasing my own project. No. I was heavily lurking. I absolutely loved NFTs as soon as I discovered them. It was back in January last year, and Syke was creating a few one-of-ones, and he was doing art. Syke is my husband, for anyone listening, and also the co-founder of DeadFellaz. So yeah, he was creating art for various DAOs and metaverse events and all kinds of cool stuff. And yeah, so he was buying some NFTs, but I was kind of telling him what to buy, but
Oh my
also
God, you were.
I remember there was oh God, what was that project? It's like Alien Galactic something. I can't remember.
It was
I loved
that way back in the day, right? Because you guys launched in like August 13th, I believe it was, right?
Yeah, we
August
launched
13th?
in
Yeah.
August. And I was really, really into NFTs for the months prior to that. But yeah, just didn't have a lot of money to
Yeah.
spend or really any ETH at all. So it was exciting when when DeadFellaz kicked off and I could finally support some of the artists that I love so much. But yeah.
Yeah, the NFT space has moved tremendously fast. I remember in a past podcast you talked about it being like doggy years. It feels like it's just flying by. Like every single week feels like 6 months. But you guys have come a long way from August. I mean, August wasn't entirely for people who haven't been here since like last summer. That was an entirely different feel in the NFT space. It was like brand spanking new. Like nobody knew anything. You guys came out here, launched the project on the 13th. You guys wanted to stick to that. I remember you saying you were like your devs were like, can we push it back a couple days? You were like, absolutely fucking not. We need to do this on the 13th. But what has been the secret to keeping up the hype after months and months and months? Is it hype? Is it interest? Is it the communal feel of the art? Is it supporting other artists? Is it onboarding females and talking about that? More and more and trying to be more inclusive, or like what has been the real factor that kept you guys kind of in the game and really leading the game?
I think it's a combination of things. I think that when you run an NFT project, there needs to be multiple levels of development happening at the same time. So you need to be having those high level developments in the background that are they have maybe the production timelines are very long and it's not something that you can continue to push out week by week. It's like once every 6 months or something, like a big product or something like that. That needs to be going on in the background, but of course the space is fickle, the space is impatient and
I was
moves
so
very,
impatient.
very quickly. And so you need those constant other activations going on. So then we've got like a middle stream of things that are happening, like the collaborations and the releases and all of those sorts of things. And then another stream, which is arguably the most important, and that's the community, and that needs to continue to go as well. So we have a really wonderful mod team in our Discord and MetaLink, and we have just lots of fun things that we like to do with them. I think that some people think that sort of thing is a bit trivial to be focusing on those smaller community events, like even trivia and sketching and just funny games on the computer. But actually, that's it's really great because you get to connect with your community constantly, and it's just really fun. A lot of our community memes are born from those sorts of things, so it's really fun. So yeah, just focusing on all of those three. I think that it's not so much hype, but that is the space runs on speculation.
Yeah.
So there just needs to be like a healthy balance of all of that. It's definitely interesting and it definitely changes as well. I will say month to month, it's
Yeah.
always very different. So
Yeah, it is wild, and you guys have done some pretty cool stuff. I remember because I reviewed this. DeadFellaz was one of, I think, the first 5 reviews I ever did. Like, my whole channel was kind of born from reviewing projects in depth, doing like in depth analysis of them. And you guys were one of the first projects I did. And I remember looking at it and being like, "Wow, they got freaking Steve Aoki performing." I was in the Sandbox, right? He did a concert in there with you guys.
it was in Decentraland. So buying our plot in Decentraland was one of the first things that we did. We didn't really see anyone else at that time focusing on building in the metaverse or creating those community activations. Um, But for us, that was important because we saw that as one of the most innovative parts of the space and the most exciting new progressions, that we could expand into. So we did that straight away. We had basically a development sprint. It was only a few weeks from launch to Halloween. So yeah, we
Mm,
got all the really fun artists to collaborate with on the gallery, and we had Steve Aoki did an exclusive set that we streamed into the club that we had. It's really fun.
yeah.
Um, Expect Halloween this year to be ridiculous.
Oh
I have
boy.
been planning it since November the 1st last year. So,
Is that your favorite holiday? Halloween?
um, yeah, I love holidays in general. I guess I just like to celebrate things.
Yeah.
I just like an excuse to have a party, but Halloween is really fun. Obviously, I run a project around zombies. So.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say. That's
Yeah.
funny. That is funny. And were you able to talk to Steve? Like, I assume you were, because you're the fan of the project. But what was he like? 'Cause I've heard him in some podcasts here and there. But what was it like talking to someone who's like kind of revered to a lot of people? A lot of people look up to that guy.
It's kind of crazy because I'm friends with him now. So it's
Let's
gone
go.
from
That's awesome.
yeah, it's gone from and that's the case with a lot of people that I really have admired for many years and really appreciated their creative input into the world, and then have discovered that they in turn appreciate mine, and now we're friends. So
Yeah,
it's a really wild part of the space. I think that's really cool for holders in the community as well, though, because when someone that they really respect or they have followed for a long time joins the same community as them, it's like that shared connection. You're in the same club. It's so
yeah.
cool. I love that.
Yeah, that is absolutely wild. I bet people were raving. I don't know if he like jumped into the Discord and said what's up, but that's probably a wild feeling. Like, I remember there's a lot of other projects that will have someone who's like kind of famous jump in and just I can't even imagine. I don't think I've experienced it where I've been in the Discord at the same time that someone I would have known that's like a public figure would have jumped in. But that would have been kind of surreal, and that's kind of the magic that happens in NFTs is you can send a tweet and like I don't know, Elon Musk or something could see it just on the off chance he pulls his phone out right when you shoot him a message on Twitter or something like that. And like you can reach out to almost anybody and just get lucky sometimes. And I encourage everyone to do it. And one thing I wanted to ask though is that I thought would be interesting is because I know, or I thought I had heard you were potentially going to come out and dox yourself at NFT NYC. Is that true?
Yeah. So I'm doxing myself at VCon, which
Okay.
is in like, I mean, I fly to LA in 2 weeks.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm gonna be in LA from next Sunday to the Thursday, and then Minneapolis from the Thursday through the weekend. And yeah, I'll just be there as myself. I mean, I am Betty, so
Yeah.
everyone knows me.
She
Like
is Betty. Everybody.
I've been talking as
Yeah.
myself for the entire time that I'm here, and people in Discord, they know, like my community know a lot about me, and
Yeah.
so it's really just like who I am. And the cool thing is, I'm one of those people that likes to connect to other people in person. Like I'm a very social person, so I think that being able to meet people in the community and just share those experiences in real life will be really awesome and something that I'm going to really enjoy. We will be at NFT NYC as well. We've got some really exciting things planned for then.
That is awesome. Well, and I had the place I was going with that is that you had mentioned something that really was interesting to me, because there's a lot of people with different opinions as to anonymous creators versus people who are doxxed. And the one thing that you brought up, which opens up an entire, it goes down a rabbit hole on its own, is the anonymous factor of people doing that in order to kind of give themselves like I know the females are underrepresented in the space. Minorities find it harder. I've talked to a lot of people. Podcasting is like my thing, so I've talked to so many people, and a lot of females, a lot of people in the minorities find it difficult. They'll jump into a Discord and they'll just get ragged for no reason. And you had mentioned that anonymity is something that's kind of important, and that's not really something that people think about too much. They hear it, and some people at least hear anonymous, and they say, "Oh, they're trying to hide something." But you brought a totally different angle.
Yeah, that's it. So some people care about anonymous founders and some people don't. And I think that there's so many different factors that go into it. For me, I've got loads of different reasons, but one of the reasons was my children. I have 3 young children, and we're in a really unique position where, I'm the founder of a project. I lead this big brand, but I'm also very, very accessible to thousands of people at once. And for me, there's like a safety factor that I wanted to maintain. A bit of a barrier between all of that and my children that don't understand this world, and I don't really want that life for them. So
Mm.
I do you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
a funny balance to strike. And then there were other reasons. I really wanted to kind of be the flagship example of how you can create a personal brand around your PFP, which I think I have done successfully.
Yeah,
Everyone
I would agree.
recognizes everyone recognizes my PFP. So that's cool because I want other people to do the same. Um, I wanted to be received for my work before who I am or what I look like. And I think that anonymity is a cool aspect of Web3 in general. I think that moving away from, that assumption that everybody is owed everything and, your entire existence is beholden to everyone else. That's not the case. I think that is just a really awesome little thing that Web3 has brought to everyone's thoughts. So yeah, I mean, people agree. I'm not necessarily saying that I'm right or wrong,
Right,
but
right.
these are my opinions. So
Yeah, and there's it's always gray area. People wanna make it they want so bad to make it black and white. They want it to be this or that. They want it to be right or wrong, and there's so many
yeah,
different factors. It also depends on how much work the founder and the whoever's choosing to either remain anonymous or doxxed, effort they put in. I know a lot of people who are doxxed who suck, and I'm like, I'd literally rather like I'd pick so many other people who are anonymous. And NFT Nate's a YouTuber. He put out a tweet. He said there's a lot of people who are anonymous in the space that I would trust with 20 ETH bag than this random dox person who actually hasn't proven himself. And just because his face is out there or her face is out there, it's not really like a thing. And so I think it's just kind of like labels. They hear a word, they hear the word anonymous, and they associate with this or that. But the whole NFT space is so big. There's so many different factors in here.
yeah.
And you could come from a creative background, and you had said that you've been an artist for a long time, but you worked in the corporate world. Has any of the like things that are there, like, what's the word, transferable skills, I guess, from your corporate environment, being an artist in that world, to then leading a project?
Yeah. I've had a very strange and eclectic life, I guess you could say, professionally. I've done so many things, and I like to speak to that because I think there's a lot of people that are creative and drawn to entrepreneurship that have not necessarily felt like they've found their thing, and they're trying lots of things and they've got their finger in a lot of pies, and they you know feel like a lot of those things, maybe if they fizzle out eventually, were a waste of time. But I just don't think that that's the case. For me personally, I've done so many different things, and all of those skills I've been able to bring to this space and apply them in a way that's been really effective. So, I mean, I've done everything. I studied biomed. I'm a meditation
Oh,
instructor.
let's
I've
go.
worked in
Okay.
marketing and sales, and I've run restaurants, and I've been, a fine dining waitress on a mountain, and
Respect.
yeah, run a creative agency. So there's so many different things. All of that I bring to this work, and it I guess it's just the sweet spot of skills that I've needed. obviously I can't do everything. I can't wear every hat all the time. To launch a project, you kind of do need to wear all the hats, but as you move forward and scale, it's really epic to be able to delegate to people that are really rad at their job. So it's been a pleasure to discover those people and expand the team. And just, yeah, we're working so well right now, and it's just we're in a really sweet spot, so it feels good.
Yeah, it's like it has to be like a well-oiled machine. You gotta find the right people with the right attitude. You can have the best person who doesn't see the vision the same way you do, and it may just not work that way. Do you have someone that you haven't connected with yet that you're like, "Yo, if we get this person on, fam, it's over, like, it is over." Do you have anyone who's like a dream collab?
Um, Collaborations, I have so many, dream collaborations, but all of
Mm,
those are kind of within reach now, which is completely wild. Being signed with UTA has meant that we've cut through a lot of that noise, and a lot of the access is just completely open to, um, throwing out ideas and seeing. It's just a really fun experimental phase where a lot of established brands and people and artists and creatives in the world really want to dip their toe into this world, and we find it exciting to work with them. So there's lots of cool stuff on the horizon. um, there's people I'm working with that I obviously didn't know of before, and didn't dream of working of before, but like now it is the dream. Like it's
yeah.
being able to work closely with Psych has been amazing because we understand each other very well, obviously having been married and worked together for many years. But just because DeadFellaz is an extension of us, it is really personal, and so that's great to be able to share that with someone. Um, but the COO that we found, Holly Longoria, she's just so epic. She gets it so perfectly. All of our mods do. Our in-house legal, like everyone that we've brought on has. It's almost like they've just been gravitated to DeadFellaz. I don't know if
Yeah.
that makes sense, but and they're so good at their job. It's like finding unicorns. It's so great.
That's awesome. Shout out Holly. Shout out Holly. That's awesome. Yeah, that's how it needs to be when you're trying to run something. And you said something that probably just went past some people's heads, but being your brand being an extension of you. This is something that I'm so big on, is the brand, the identity, the core identity behind a project is missing from a lot of projects, and that's probably the reason that your project has such a strong community, because people can feel that vibe. You know, it's the same reason that my community is really strong. They feel the vibe. My brand of Joyage is just an extension of me, of symbolizing like rolling the dice in yourself, taking a chance, and kind of similar. Like, I'm an artist too myself, portrait photographer, travel photographer, and I don't know. I remember taking a bunch of photos. I had a bunch when I got into NFTs. I was like, oh, like I saw some people doing photography art. Like, I don't know if this is like, I don't know if my photos are that good, but I put them up. Some people made sales, and then I kind of talked about my brand, and it was basically, yeah, exactly that, an extension of the brand. And then people start to come around you, and then as long as you don't just like give up and you keep doing that and you keep building, you collaborate with this person and that person, you come out with this new idea, the people are just all down for it, because people, I think, being innovative and taking risks in the space is a necessity to win. It's just it's hard and it's scary. But in this world, and people are rooting for you. I imagine that people are in your inbox every single day saying, "Let's go, DeadFellaz. Let's go, Betty. Like, what do you got planned for us tomorrow?" Kind of thing.
Yeah, it's really amazing. It's honestly it's a roller coaster, and it's not for everyone. I think you have to be very sure of yourself and secure, and you have to have a very strong support network. I found a lot of support from not just Psych, which I feel very lucky to have. That we can work together and share this together because it is so hard.
Hmm.
But other founders, the community between other founders is really strong, and really beautiful as well. Like if someone has a bad day, I can guarantee you any of the projects that you know of, if the founder is having a bad day, I've spoken to them and they have like messaged me and we'll speak, and I do the same with them. And it's really necessary because this is all so new. There's no one else. There's no like guidebook, like, how to survive founding an NFT project in
You're
its
like,
first
good
year.
luck.
It's like, yeah, it's not been done before, and so everything is unprecedented, um and it's just so wild. It's so great. And this, if I have a bad day where because you always focus on the bad stuff that you see, don't
Yeah.
you? It's like it's just human nature. So if I
Just can't
do
help it.
see like a few things, it really gets to me because DeadFellaz is an extension of us personally. Um, I can't help but take it personally sometimes. But
Yeah.
then on the off, on the other side of that coin, the support and the love is just so huge. Like it was my birthday the other day, and I could
Yeah.
hardly believe it. Like how many people were messaging me and texting me and sending me things, and it was just like really humbling and kind of shocking. And I'm a little bit nervous to go to real life events because of that, to be honest.
Well, yeah, you just screwed me over. I totally forgot. I was gonna open with happy belated birthday. I know it was 2 days ago. So for people
Thank
who
you.
didn't know, let's get happy belated birthday in the chat. Let's spam
Oh,
it.
thank you. Thank you very
But
much.
no, that is epic. And yeah, you were saying earlier you work with your husband really close. Man, listen, I haven't even had a girlfriend in a while. All right. How
Oh.
right? Like you've been married, you've been working together, and you've got a project together, which is stress on stress on stress on stress. You live together and you work together. Do you guys work separately? Are you in like the living room together working, or is it like how do you even manage that? How does that work?
Um, it almost goes unsaid. Like it's just intuitive. So we have a routine. We do have an office in the house. We work at home and
Mm,
with a big desk that's next to each. We have our computers next to each other because we're either always on the same meetings or if he takes a meeting or I've got a podcast, then we'll separate
mm.
um, and go our different things. We each have our own things that we attack. And we know our roles. So it just works really well. Someone in the chat said, "What are you, 21?" No, I'm 32.
Sean, oh, it's Sean's in the chat. That's funny. What is your like main thing on the project? What do you wake up and you're like excited to attack, and then what is your husband excited to attack when he wakes up?
It is a sprint every single day. I'm not going to lie. Every day we wake up, I'll just quickly check and see if there's any fires that I need to put out quickly before I do anything else. And then we've got 3 kids, so we do the morning
Mm.
thing. It's always up at like 5 a.m. Um, doing the kid thing,
It's
getting them to
wild.
school, sorting them out, and then straight into morning meetings. Sometimes I'll have meetings from like 5 a.m. Because of the PST and EST time zones.
Yeah.
And my inbox is always absolutely packed as soon as I wake up because they're finishing their day and I'm starting mine.
Oh,
Um,
right. That's probably
and
kinda
so it's like,
stressful when you wake up. It's so do you use meditation at all to, like, help help with that?
I do. I have a lot of techniques that I like to do. Yeah, so that really does help. Just going
Mm,
outside as well, and I know it's a meme, but touching grass, like taking
I
your
agree.
shoes off
I
and
agree.
just
Grounding,
kind of
doing
like,
all those
yeah,
things, hugging
it's
trees. People say that's BS. That is not BS. That is
oh no, I've
facts.
hugged so many trees. I'm such a tree hugger. Yeah, I do believe in all of that. It's really important, and so yeah, I do try and do all that to get through. But yeah, as I said before, we've got so many team members that know their role and are doing their role. So I'm not as stressed as I used to be, where it was all, a lot of it was on my shoulders. Now it's like I know that I have a competent team that are doing their jobs, and
Mm,
um, it's yeah, it's actually really exciting. Even just saying those things out loud because I'm having a great time. As stressful and hard as it is to run a
yeah.
project, it's also really, really fun and exciting and challenging. And I love it.
Yeah, it's a wild world that we're literally out here. I mean, the Web3 vibe just in general is so different. But and you're working in Australia, so how you were saying that people are finishing their day, you're beginning your day, and it's kind of the same. Like honestly, no matter where you are, when you wake up, there's always someone else going to sleep. So there's always things at 24/7, all the time, all around the clock. And you've got kids. You have 3 kids, so you've got all the cards stacked against you. Are your kids like? Do they even have a clue? Do they know Deadfellas? Are they fans? Are they low key buying some without your knowing with your credit card that you forgot about a couple weeks ago? Or
So my kids are 2-year old. I have a 2-year old and a 5-year old and a 7-year old. So
a
they all
7 year
know.
old?
Yeah, so they all know what DeadFellaz are. They have some other favorite projects. Cool Cats is one of their favorites.
Oh,
They
nice.
they have the merch and they rep the merch. They love it.
That's awesome.
But my 5-year-old daughter, she's very spooky and and kind of strange in her own amazing way. So she really, really, really loves DeadFellaz, and she likes to
That is
go
so
through the
cool.
OpenSea and like show me which one is her favorite today, and she'll make up a story about them. And um, my 7-year-old is she knows what NFTs are. She doesn't quite get it just yet, but um, yeah, she was wearing her Cool Cats t-shirt the other day, and she was like, "Mummy, did your friend make this NFT?" Like, yeah, I guess.
That is so funny. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, they're gonna
It's
be 10 steps ahead.
yeah, as they become more aware of it, it will be a funny thing to navigate, I assume. But we'll get there. Yeah, they're very artistic themselves, so I'm sure they'll have their own NFTs.
Probably, yeah, those one of ones who rack them up, 20 ETH, auctions, everyone's in the chat, I'm sure they want some. I bet they were pumped about the Dead Friends collection with the animals. Were they excited about that?
Yes, they were. Yeah, they really were. Yeah. Again, my 5-year-old, you would have thought, oh, she liked the cat or the dog. No, she likes the bats. So same as
They're
me, I
like, "Are you
like
sure?" Oh, really?
yeah.
That's your favorite?
Yeah, I love them. And the
That's awesome.
toads as well.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many, and I think it's amazing how it's like the best when you have you have the Genesis collection, obviously, with the DeadFellaz, and then you have that new bigger project where you can kinda onboard a lot more people who just don't they just wanna join the train. They wanna hop on before it's too late, and that's, like, the beauty of it. I mean, a lot of the big projects have also done it with their companions or with their pets collections and stuff like that. Is there a different feel with those new people who come in, versus, like, the Genesis holders who a lot of them who have I'm sure have been here since, like, the mint? Is it weird when the merge happens, or is it pretty seamless
Yeah.
because it's the same, like, brand?
No, it's a source of tension, I think, across all projects when that happens, because you've got your community and that foundation, and everyone knows, what the vibe is. It's
Mm,
almost like you have, like a friendship group at school, and then all of a sudden you join schools with someone else, and you're like looking
oof.
at the other kids like, oh, but you're
Yeah.
still in the same school. But do you know what I mean? It's kind
Mhm,
of you go through that period where people don't know really what the expectations are or how to act, because it's different in all communities.
mhm.
And I do think we have a very specific way of being in the Deadfellas community, which is a bit different to some of the other projects. So it was a source of tension at first. It still is sometimes, but we have a really great mod team that um, like to guide the conversations in respectful ways, and they don't censor people, but um, I guess, encourage and cultivate like what we like to see. But yeah, definitely it was crazy. I mean, when you launch a companion project though, I mean, there's multiple reasons why you would do that. For some people it would be an injection of capital,
Mhm.
which I totally get, to continue developing. For us, there's so many things though, like you said, the accessibility part of things, like opening up the community so more people can join. But then there's future plans. Like for us, that was very specific, and we needed very certain things from a secondary collection that we could do our
Yeah.
plans and that sort of thing with. So
Man,
yeah.
yeah, that is wild because you're expanding and growing the brand, expanding and growing the community of people, and just building the name out there in the space. I mean, it's definitely one of those that people have heard, because I mean, there's only a handful, probably like 10 or 15 projects, even that if someone's new comes in the space, it's probably going to be one of those first 10, 15 projects. And how we had talked to a little bit earlier, just for like a couple of minutes in the beginning of this podcast, we talked about onboarding new people, and we talked about the anonymity and protecting different types of people coming into this space. Is there a way that people, because I've listened to a lot of the female spaces and hearing some of their perspectives, which is so helpful, by the way, for any guys who haven't done that, I would definitely suggest going into a women-led space and seeing the difference there, and especially ones that are all female in them, and to experience what it's like not to be like the majority. It's a different kind of feeling that I would bet that most guys haven't ever done. How can we help onboard more females in the space, more minorities, make it more inclusive, a little bit less intimidating? That's like the thing I hear most is just really intimidating, just because there's so many freaking white guys, you know?
Yeah, no, that's totally it. For me, it was like as I was lurking for a while, it felt like being back in time. Like it felt like all of the progress that we had made, and things that were like not okay to be said
Mm,
in spaces were being said on NFT Twitter. Like it just felt like real, like a bro club
yeah,
with so much toxic masculinity that I can only assume a lot of men would be also feeling pretty uncomfortable with. Like it just felt really macho, and yeah, intimidating is the right word. And I think that in order to cultivate a more inclusive community, and one that all people feel comfortable being in, it's not really these giant actions that you can take because it feels like a big hurdle. I think you just need to look within yourself and say, like, what am I doing personally that's perpetuating this environment? What can I do personally to make it more inclusive? If that's challenging toxic behaviors that you see, if it's calling out your best friend because they tweeted something really awful,
yeah,
that other people might not say anything about, that a lot of men get a lot of I guess validation for saying pretty horrible things and just stuff like that, because everyone sees it. And you can be silently on Twitter like watching these things unfold and be like, oh, there is no space for me.
yeah,
um so yeah, and I think that not focusing on women just for creating projects that are women seemingly for women, because that's just not the case. Like World of Women was created to be more inclusive, but it wasn't necessarily made just so that women could collect it. It's for
right.
everyone to appreciate and to enjoy. And just by focusing on that gendered aspect, it minimizes a person so much. So I'm so much more than my gender.
Mhm.
um so, and I think that it's kind of a bit of a benefit that I have personally by I'm not so boxed into um the women's founders thing, which I think other people like to box others into that. I think it's detrimental to them. So just appreciating people for their work first. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. There's a lot of things people can do. Uh, I mean, speaking from like a white dude's perspective, I think I grew up around girls, and my sister. I have a little sister. I think that probably helps with a little bit with perspective and stuff. But I know just from personal experience with people I know, friends that I know, um, a lot of the guys don't even know that they need to be working on it because they've never really been put in situations where they could really be empathetic towards a minority. And I'm half Japanese, so I've been bullied my whole life growing up. So I understand what it's like to be just like bullied for literally no like a reason I can't even control, for reasons that I didn't really understand when I was being bullied for it. And so that's giving me that perspective. But for guys who like when they hear something like this, or they hear even for example like the past 5 minutes of this conversation, and they just go, oh, like a lot of guys will do that. They'll hear something like this about women entities or about minorities, and they'll just go like, oh god, like I don't need to hear this. Like I'll bring everyone in this space, and it's just like it's not about that, because it's hard to understand that unless you've been empathetic and you've been in situations like that. And it's hard, like you almost have to put yourself in those situations, and just to like immerse yourself a little bit and kind of acclimate yourself into that to really understand what that's like, and to have friends who are different genders or in minorities, and kind of ask them questions and ask the tough questions that you wouldn't even know to ask. But it's a really fucking hard topic, and it's a hard thing to do, and it followed us into Web3. I think in the beginning of the NFT space, people were like, "Oh, Web3 is different. It's this thing where everyone can be this, but we're humans, right? Like humans are going to bring the evils, and it's hard."
I really agree, and it's hard. It is hard when I see, people that are at the top of the food chain, so to speak, talking about how beautiful and open and this inclusive utopia that Web3 is, when in reality, that's not the experience for a lot of people. And yeah, you're so right. Like the humanity in us, we're the same people building Web3 as we are in Web2. Like we're the same
Yeah,
people. There's all of the same issues and barriers, and they all follow. A lot of people will say, well, why don't women just speak in Twitter spaces? And it's like, because there is no opportunity to speak. They're not brought up on stage. They're interrupted. They're disrespected. Maybe they don't feel comfortable speaking on a stage that's literally only guys, and they're speaking
yeah,
about something that's, like there's so many different things. We could talk about this all day. and still not even touch the sides. But I think for everyone listening that wants to do something, yeah, just I think listening is a good thing. So like you just said, if you go into these spaces and just listen, like don't challenge and constantly feel. I think when people are highlighting issues, it's easy for us to feel personally attacked and then get
Right.
defensive and decide to shut down and not want to face anything. But it's important to like work through that discomfort and unravel it. Like, why am I feeling like this? Why do I feel so? Do you know what I mean? Why do I
Yeah.
feel attacked? What is that within me? And just a bit of self reflection, because sometimes it does reveal a lot about ourselves. I always like to do that if I feel a certain way about something.
Yeah.
And it's always very revealing. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
and we're
agree.
all from humans, you know,
Mhm.
there's no right or wrong way. We're just gonna try our best.
Yeah, I agree. And for a lot of the guys who they'll hear something uh, like or they'll hear women talk about things that are struggles, and a lot of guys will take it personally and say, "Well, I don't do that, so why are you complaining?" And it's like, well, that's just how they feel. Like they're just expressing how they feel, and that goes for anyone who's talking about anything that's tough. That's just how they feel, and yeah, you're right. It's not an attack on them. It's important to kind of take yourself out of the situation a little bit and just kind of just focus on being as empathetic as you are instead of trying to insert yourself into the situation. Insert, well, what
Yeah.
would I do if it happened? It's like, well, that's not what's being talked about here. Like, where they're just sharing what their thoughts are.
Yes,
But yeah,
exactly.
so
No, I
anyways,
agree.
on a lighter note, because I know some people probably just got, we got deep there. We went deep down into that one, and I really appreciate your insight in that because that's important conversations to have. I feel like with our platforms, it's almost not even a waste. It's like it's almost disrespectful not to bring up tough conversations because like we have that influence. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's why I
anyways,
stay here, like even on very hard days, and I think like, oh my God, because I am the only woman in many spaces that I find myself in. Like, you know,
mm,
many of the group chats that I'm in, literally the only woman, or like one of the only women, and you know, on the stages or on conferences, like and that is intimidating sometimes and challenging and a little bit lonely in terms of the experience that it brings. But I do keep doing it because I think that it just opens doors for other people to do it as well. So I do need to be here and keep going.
yeah, yeah, I agree. Do you have any advice for people for females in the space or people who are minorities or at least even maybe just feel like they don't have a voice? Do you have any advice for those people how they can even get started, how they can get the ball rolling, knock over that first domino?
I think find your community, and I think that that is a very powerful thing because it can give you belonging and a sense of you know, being wanted and needed in the space as well. um, there, you know, that's why we have LGBTQ group chats and like, you know, women group chats, and it's so that you find solidarity and a shared experience and strength to move through those hard parts and keep going with that shared experience. It's very important.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And while you're giving out advice and sharing the knowledge, do you also have any advice for people who want to get started in Web3? This is a super common question I get, and I love to ask this to anyone I know who's working in this space because everyone's got different ideas. They've got maybe like you say one thing, one specific way, and that just like opens up someone's mind. Do you have any advice or things that you've picked up from your running your own project that would help someone else out trying to get started?
It depends what you mean by get started, if that's like collecting or if it's creating or if it's just being part of the communities. I think that being an active member of a Discord, getting to know other people on Twitter and um, really engaging with people even online can be really hard and uncomfortable. I think for some people it's like it can be a bit awkward. Really just push yourself in there and find your people. And when you find your people, you'll have a really good time because that the whole point is, you know, we should be enjoying this. I think that it's a
Yeah,
chore, and I think that it's distressing sometimes for people when they have big losses. But we should be enjoying it, and we should be focusing on how we can continue to enjoy it. Um, I would also recommend that everyone gets really, really down with security and you
yeah.
know, how to navigate. Like, don't click links, don't open
Do
videos.
not click links. Everyone
Yeah,
who's listening, do not click links. Do not click
never click
links
links. Like,
ever,
never,
especially in
never.
discords. There's just no reason.
Yeah, no one will ever message you a link in DMs for any good reason that I know of. Like
Yeah,
it's just don't click links. Use a hard wallet. get down with hard wallets, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in the very beginning, like in the summer, I remember I clicked every freaking link under the sun. Because in the beginning, before it was like a thing, people would do invite links and stuff like that. Like get 5 invites, you get whitelist kind of thing. And that was before that was like the meta. And so people did it all the time, and I would do it just to help people out. And I'm like, man, the fact that I have not been hacked and had everything drained, I need to knock on wood somewhere. But
It's a
that
miracle.
that is unbelievable. Yeah, it's an absolute freaking miracle. I mean, the amount of scammers out there is absurd. So yeah, anyone listening, definitely take care of yourself in that sense. But for people who want to work specifically on a team, if they're like, man, I fucking loved everything Betty just said, I'm trying to be part of that. How would they even potentially get your attention or get the mods' attention, stuff like that? How do they get involved if they want to work on the team of an NFT project?
So everyone that we've hired, from if we've hired them from Web3 specifically, rather than hiring the other way, it's so if you really love being here, my advice is that there is a place for you, because Web3 is so expensive. It's not like you don't have to be a developer, you don't have to be an artist to be in Web3 and to work in Web3. Your skills are transferable to this space, I would argue, no matter what you do. And it's a matter of finding where those skills are applicable. So, you know, and bringing that to the space and bringing it to the narrative that you have in your presence in Web3. So if you're speaking about something, bring your skills, speak about what you're doing for work, speak about what you enjoy creating or making or doing in the context of Web3. And that's a really exciting thing, because right now, we see the context of what we're using NFTs for and this technology, like we're applying that to art and to media that we feel, I guess, comfortable with. It's like the very, very early stage of NFTs. I don't think that NFTs are always going to be called NFTs. I think that right now that's just an umbrella term. I think that there'll be more specific niches that grow, and that's really cool because we don't really even know what that is yet.
Yeah,
Um,
we are stupid early. People don't.
yeah,
Yeah, we are not even. We're not even. We're in the E part of early. We're like the first
exactly.
letter of early.
Are
Um,
you a real estate agent and you love NFTs, but you think that there's no place for you? Absolutely not. There is definitely a place for you. NFTs can be applied to real estate. Like NFTs could be
mhm.
applied to anything. Um, just yeah, someone said go all in on yourself. Go all in on
Yeah,
yourself. Like identify what it is within you and your skill set that is special that you can bring and build on, because there is something. I know that a lot of people feel kind of down about themselves, and like especially when you jump from one thing to the other, like I have always done.
yeah.
Um, but that's a special thing, and there's something within you. Um, Sean, the realtor. Maybe that's why I brought real estate up,
It
Sean, because
definitely is. You got that's that's fucking hilarious.
yeah.
No, I agree. I agree. And the funny thing that you brought that up, that's exactly how I felt before I got into NFTs. I was it was pre-college. This is before, right before into college. I was taking those high school tests, and it was like, "What are you good at?" And it was literally like, "I'm good at talking to people, like a couple extra small things." And I remember taking the test, and it literally spit out, you could be a clerk, you could be a cashier, you could be a front desk man. I was just like, oh God, like that's really that's all I have to offer. And that stunk, that stunk. And now look out here, like I'm here talking to Betty from DeadFellaz. That's wild. And there are those soft skills, especially in Web3, the soft skills really, really are at your benefit. And so people who don't think that some of their soft skills, like even artists now, just straight up artists, they're like, I'm not good at anything else. I'm just an artist. I just like to draw or whatever. There is a place for you now. And that's Web3.
Yeah.
And if you can find a way to deliver that message that you like doing this stuff and you're good at this and this is what you want to share, you really have a huge opportunity here.
I think that's the special thing about the space, is that you can yeah, bring those special parts of yourself that you really love. Like you don't have to subscribe to this, at school, like you were saying, you've been given the box that you should stay in, like you are suitable for this and that's what you should pursue, and everything else is a waste of time.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Like if you feel good, like what sets your soul on fire, and try and apply that to this space in some way.
Mm,
And I guarantee you, in most cases, there will be an opportunity that comes up just through being in the space. At this stage, we're so early, it's so cliche, but it's true. Everyone knows everyone. Twitter is a small space in NFTs. Like we know most people amongst ourselves, I would
yeah.
imagine.
It's a cult.
Um,
We are a
it
cult.
really is. Like it's very small right now. It really is. It's
Yeah.
very insular. And so there is so much opportunity to be had. That is again me coming from my experiences and um, bringing the privileges that I have, I know that in reality, many people can't just go all in on stuff and have to, make it work in other ways, and that's okay too. Go at your own pace. We're not in a rush. Like it's happening right now, but if you're in here doing it, you're in here doing it.
Yeah.
Someone just said, I really doubt of my skills. I'm a product designer. How do you see that applied to Web3? Every
Mm.
single Web3 project would need a product designer at some point. So
Listen up, David.
there you
Listen to
go.
that. Yeah, so probably getting into Twitter Spaces, talking about that. Maybe just like low key slipping it in there in the middle of a story that you do product design. You've been doing this, your passion. Someone might hit you up in the DMs right after. Like those kind of things happen all the
It's really
time.
all
You
about
just got to share
relationship.
it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's like and it's less about like shilling yourself in an empty way, because you don't have to be on that pitch and that grind all the time. Get to know people, and then you things will happen. Most of the
Yeah,
people that have created projects recently met in Web3. Like early last year maybe was one of the last times that you would have seen people kind of just come into the space fresh without,
yeah,
like, Syke and I came in and made a project together. But now it's like people that know each other through this space. I really enjoy seeing that come from DeadFellaz all the time. Like, oh, I've noticed people in the community, they've gotten to know each other and now they've launched their own project, or they're doing their own podcast, or they've,
yeah,
made a newsletter, or it's all that stuff. It's really cool.
yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Where do you think that self confidence that you have, or like I don't know if self confidence or self confidence, self esteem that when you speak, we can all, I think, especially me, I can hear it. You can pick it up. It's like an aura thing. But where does that you think come from? Is it from the professional work that you've done, from successes in the past, being a mom, like pushing out kids and be like, I can do anything that like nothing can beat me? Like where's that confidence come from?
I was raised by a strong woman, and I've always been kind of drawn to, or not drawn to leadership, because I've always felt kind of nervous about that. But like, I've always found myself in positions of leadership, and I've always, been the person that organizes everyone around me and makes things happen and connects people. And I think that I've had a lot of challenges in my life, and I learned really early on that of the discrepancies and things in terms of my experience, rather than the experience of men around me. Like, I had really early on a lot of my work stolen, and some guy got the credit, all of those sorts of things. I've had to work twice as hard to get to the same position, and I think that just through that I kind of have resilience and confidence. I honestly couldn't tell you, though. I guess it's just the person that I am. I don't know.
Mm. Yeah, well, because I think for a lot of people who don't have the inner self confidence, like myself growing up, I had no confidence. I was super nervous about everything. I constantly second guessed every single thing I did, even things I was good at. Like I remember I was one of the best soccer players, but I still didn't even have confidence I would make varsity, and I always did. I always did the things, but inside I always questioned everything and like self doubt and all those things. But I've learned over the years is that like in spite of the second guessing, and in spite of the anxiety you have, as long as you just keep pushing through it and you just focus on getting it done, whether or not it's perfect or not, that over time tends to turn into some level of self esteem.
Yeah, that's it. I think that if you so the time something that I keep in my mind is, whether you do it or you don't do it, the time will pass anyway.
Oh
So if
shit,
you
that's good.
yeah, so if you were thinking, oh, I want to start this project, or I want to create this art series, or I want to learn a new language, you can either start now and in 6 months have been learning Mandarin for 6 months, or you can not do it and 6 months will have passed and you'll be in the same position. I also like to differentiate and kind of self reflect on what is anxiety and what is my intuition. Because anxiety and intuition feel the same.
Mm,
And you can often, your intuition is telling you something, or to be worried about something, or to, you know, it's like a protection mechanism, right? To, or you shouldn't be in this situation, it's dangerous, or you should be protecting yourself type thing. That feeling is the same as anxiety, and anxiety is not rooted in reality for a lot of the time. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I'm an anxious person. I've suffered with panic attacks over the years, and so I do have to think like, am I feeling anxiety right now, or is this my intuition telling me something? And yeah, it's a lot of work. It's just a lot of self work, and I like to invest in myself for that to be able to do the work that I do.
Yeah, that was super powerful what you just said about the time that I mean, I think what was it? I think Kevin Hart said it. He said the sun's gonna rise tomorrow with or without you, with or without your anxiety, with or without whatever you do, the sun rises tomorrow, the day ends, 5 o'clock hits. And that is a super, super helpful
Yeah.
like a sound bite right there, honestly. Like I don't know who someone sound
Yeah.
bite that, someone sound clip that. That needs to go viral
I
on
think
TikTok
so.
because that was powerful.
You know what, as well, I think another thing is I think you need to honor your own experience, because I did hear someone once say, "Oh, you have the same 24 hours a day as Beyonce," but you don't. You don't. I don't. You don't. We don't have the same 24 hours because we
Mhm.
don't have the same resources or access or anything like that. And so for a lot of people, those 24 hours to get the achievements that they want to do done, or to set off a task, can be a massive, massive mountain to climb.
Yeah.
And so honor that experience, because we are not all set out at the same starting post. Many of us, through societal impact or whatever, have to start way, way further back. And
Mm,
so honoring and appreciating that. I know for a fact that I have to work a lot harder than men to be taken seriously in this space. um, a lot of the people that I'm friends with that are trans and black, they have to work even harder to be taken seriously, or to be seen, or to be appreciated. There's so many different hurdles. So honor that within yourself, and don't put pressure on yourself to, especially not when you're comparing what you've achieved with what, the majority have achieved, and the majority in this space are white straight men. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that is super powerful. You're absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, yes, we have 24 hours, but yeah, everybody's life is completely different, and you don't have to accomplish what Beyonce accomplished. You just have to accomplish like what you're able to within your own 24 hours. You're probably not going to get to Beyonce's. I don't even know how anyone could get to Beyonce's. I don't even know how that happened. Um, but yeah, I mean that's super
Yeah.
powerful, and
But do you know what? Sometimes your achievements might seem insignificant to other people, but they're still achievements to you. Like for some people, making a phone call to an establishment is hard. That's
yeah,
hard for some people. It's sometimes hard for me. Like that it's just, sometimes you just, those are the things that you have to get over and do. And if that's an achievement that you've made, celebrate it, because it's no less valid or impressive than something else. It's just that comparison is the thief of joy. And I think that people live too much in the comparison world, and they just need to sit in their own achievements and, you know, what they're putting out. And even measuring against yourself can be toxic sometimes. So I guess just try not to live too much in the future or the past. Just focus on what you're doing.
yeah. That is. Yeah, everyone's saying it exactly right. She spit bars. She came to drop bars and drop alpha. And on on the other side of what you just said, there's also things that you do that you think is like it's like that was pretty cool. Like I got it done, whatever. But then someone else sees it who you don't even realize maybe they haven't even told you, and they're thinking, oh my god, that was wild. I can't believe that Betty just said that or just did that. That is so inspiring to me. And we really don't know like the level that we can actually influence someone just on something that we do. We just don't notice it, and that's like huge, powerful. Because you can really change people's lives. I mean, I'm sure there's one person in this chat who's about to go do something wild because of the bars you just spit.
Thank you. But also on, the same to you. Like if you hadn't been doing this podcast, you've got a lot of people that listen to you. And a lot of knowledge is being given in all of the episodes, and that changes people's lives as well and encourages people. So yeah, and I think that you're right. Every action has a reaction and an impact that we might not necessarily be able to comprehend at the time. So just keep being yourself. It's so cliche, but authenticity is key. Um, put out what you want to put out into the world. um, Try and fill those gaps, and yeah.
Yeah, that is super powerful. I think that's a great place. And as we come to a close, I just had one last question. Is there any alpha on DeadFellaz that you're excited to drop? If you don't have to, obviously. I know you're a project founder, so I don't want to put any pressure on you. But if there is anything you're excited about that's coming up and you want to drop it, you can.
Okay, I'm not going to, but we have a few collaborations coming up that I'm really excited for. And I'm really excited for NFT NYC, and um I'm really excited to be able to be public about the partnerships that we have and the people that we have working with us. And because at the moment we're only allowed, you know, certain little leaks and hints and that sort of thing. I enjoy
Right.
being very open and explicit in how we explain things. So I'm looking forward to that kind of being more open.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
just stoked
awesome.
in general. I'm forever
Yeah.
bullish on DeadFellaz.
That is so exciting. I bet everyone's pumped about, I mean, NFTs in general, because NFT NYC is coming up in like a month and a half. I'm sure everyone's scrambling, trying to get their shit together so they make sure they've rented this place out and that place out. So that is going to be a super epic time for everyone involved. Betty Ducks. That's funny. Yeah, when cryptos collab. Wait. Also, yeah. So also, thank you for everybody in the chat who's been here, especially since the beginning. There's some people that I've seen since the beginning, minute one. So thank you guys for being here. And if this is your first episode with the Joyage Kingdom podcast, I want to see Betty. I want to see Betty as the code word, so I know that you made it to the end. Spammed in the chat. If this is not your first episode with us, I want to see OG spam in the chat for the code word, so I know. But other than that, Betty, thank you so much for coming on. This was an incredible conversation. We went down so many rabbit holes, and I had a blast.
Yeah, thanks so much. It was really great to be here. And I'll chat to you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, click that like button, subscribe to the channel, join the kingdom. Until next time, continue on your Joyage, continue to learn, and be grateful you're alive watching this video. Bye.